how to rise above your karma. And karma, of course, means simply action. And that action which brings us greater happiness, more freedom, earns us good karma. That action which affirms the ego earns us bad karma. As a boy walking home from school, I would walk through a park, and I would like to play on the swings. And I learned how, leaning back, I could get more and more speed up to a certain point where it's like I was perfectly balanced, and I could stay up for a long time because I was balanced. The swing was balanced forward and back. Just like Newton says, for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. The law of karma. And it's true for physics, and it's also true for human behavior. As you sow, so shall you reap. Whatever, like a seed, whatever action you plant, that is what will come back to you. That is the action that you'll harvest. Once Swami Kriyananda had a dream, and in the dream he was about to die, and he remembered a friend who had hurt him, who had betrayed him, and he found himself getting angry at this friend. And then he realized, if I were to die in this moment with this anger, in the next life, I could maybe be in a position where I could inflict hurt on that same friend. And he would be bitter at the end of life. And it would just keep going on, life after life, like an endless spiral staircase. And I would never get out of it. And then he summoned courage and he said from the bottom of his heart, I forgive him. And those words changed everything. At that moment he woke up and he realized that he just felt free. He just felt like a burden had been lifted off of him. Just through those words. I remember years ago I read a little book, and I believe the title was Love is Letting Go of Fear. And it helped me to open my heart. Basically, it was saying that a powerful way to develop love is by, and let go of fear, is to introspect and consciously forgive all those who may have hurt us in this lifetime that we can think of. And just through that act, you may be forgiving those souls also for past life transgressions against you, and ending that vicious cycle of karma with them. When we feel that I have to be right, then that means somebody else has to be wrong. And when we feel that we're not afraid to be wrong, then to forgive costs us nothing. If we don't have to be right, we've got no position that we have to maintain. There's nothing that we're afraid of losing. We're free. Sri Krishna, in the essence of the Bhagavad Gita, tells us how to rise above our karma. He says, he is a true yogi who never acts motivated by personal desire, whose ego-binding karma has been consumed in the fire of wisdom. As we know, Kriya Yoga, our gurus tell us, is the fire of wisdom that consumes all past karma. Krishna continues, he is free from karma who is content with whatever comes to him uninvited, who is even-minded and untouched by duality, hot, cold, pleasure, pain, who is without envy, jealousy, animosity, and who views success and failure with calmness. All the effects of karma are cancelled, and one achieves liberation when ego attachment ceases, when one becomes centered in wisdom, and when all one's actions are offered up to the infinite. Offer up all actions. If we dedicate our lives to serving God in our own way and put ourselves in God's hands, He protects us. In the book, The New Path, Swamiji tells many wonderful stories of the protection that the Guru gives his devotees. And he tells the story of one of his friends, one of the monks who was driving a heavy truck down the steep hill from the ashram. And the brakes gave out. And he realized that he was about to fall into a ravine. And at that point, he prayed desperately to his guru, and he said, "Is this what you want?" At that moment, for some reason, the brakes were still not working, but the truck stopped safely without anything happening for no apparent reason. Another monk was working on a plastering project on a high tower in one of the ashrams of Yogananda. And he was going up a ladder, and he was carrying a heavy hod of plaster. And at one point when he was high up, he missed, his hand couldn't reach the rung of the ladder, and he found himself falling backwards with this heavy weight on his shoulder. And he realized there was no way he could save himself. And he thought of the Guru, and he chanted Om. And somehow, some force, and other people were on the ground watching this, some force made his body come back upright, and so that he could grab the rung of the ladder once more. And I remember also some of my friends, residents of Ananda village. One time, a friend of mine, she had an engine fire, and her whole face was on fire, and tremendous suffering, and yet it was healed absolutely completely, no scar, nothing. Another friend was visiting a construction site, and she slipped and fell. And she fell on a upright piece of rebar, which went very deeply into her body. And they discovered that it was very close to several major organs, but none of the organs were touched. Another fellow was up a tree, 30 feet, 10 meters up a tree, and he fell. And he just got up completely unhurt in a fall that you would think would have killed him. And all of this to say that through right action, through right attitude, certainly through the grace of God, we rise above all karma. Yogananda Ji said, you have to live anyways. Why not live in the best possible way? He said, how many people excuse themselves from the need to change, saying, karma, it's my karma, I can't change it. If you really love God, then dwell in the consciousness of eternal freedom in Him. The fire ceremony we did today, the grains of rice, are symbolic of these seeds of past bad karma that are dissolved, that are purified by God's love and also by our practice of meditation. And we draw these seeds up the spine, offer them out the spiritual eye. Likewise, when you go to bed at night, try to feel free in your heart. Feel that you're not bound by your past actions. Forgive anyone who may have hurt you and ask God to bless them. And don't identify with your past, with your mistakes. Guruji said, work to destroy the seeds of your past karma. Roasted seeds will not germinate. People who, in deep meditation, roast their karmic seeds in the fires of wisdom will never again need to reincarnate on earth. Thank you.
Just a few days before, I was sitting with my husband. We were in the dining table, and usually we never really talk about whatever we do. He's a lawyer, and he never talks about the cases or what he does, and I never really share whatever I do here. So we don't usually talk, but I don't know why I just happened to say that time that this Sunday, we have a satsang, and the topic is how to rise above karma. And he is a lawyer, so he talks with a lot of authority, with a lot of surety. And he's like, oh, but the topic is itself is wrong. How can you rise above karma? He's like, as long as we are here, we are all bound in this karmic cycle. The best you can do is you can change your bad karmas to good karmas by acting in the right way, in a good way. But to rise above it, to free yourself above it, it is just not possible, And I was like, immediately, why Kriya Yoga you do and you are free out of karma? And then I don't know whether he believed it. He was silent. He didn't know what to do, what to say, and because he had no idea what Kriya Yoga is. So he's like a straight face, believe not, I don't know. And but then I was really reflecting, later, that since we are coming here in a place like Ananda, where we are really tuning in to the teachings of Paramhansa Yogananda, and it is only because of these teachings that we feel that such a thing is even possible. Otherwise, I was just feeling that outside this place or such places, most of the people think that we are stuck in this karmic cycle and there is no way out. And we would have been one of them thinking the same way, that, oh my God, I'm stuck. And the best we can do is just do good karma and, do good actions. But to free the self is out of question, not believable. And here we are blessed that we don't even know that we can free ourselves. We know ways with which we can free ourselves. So I really felt in my heart that, my God, what a blessing I have, and what a blessing we all are here. And Swamiji, as Keshava ji also mentioned, Swamiji says the most powerful way to rise above your karma is by the grace of God. To keep your attunement with God, to always keep that connect with God, thinking about God, connecting with God. And as the more we connect with Him, the more we are drawing His grace. And then God helps us in miraculous ways to rise above it. And Swamiji was once mentioning, like he says, this has happened in his life again and again and again and again, that the grace of God has, let his life flow in miraculous ways, and things which were not possible became possible for him. And one of the incidents that he had mentioned, that once after 10 years of being in the path, he had a calling to go to India. And Swami Kriyananda, he used to do a lot of classes and give classes and all. So then he collected about $2,000, and now he was like, okay, now I can go to India. Everything was planned and sorted. Now just before going, a few days before, his car broke down, and either the car had to be replaced or it had to be repaired, but something had to be done, because then he was thinking that once I'm back, and I have to again do these classes, how will I travel? How will I go? So the practical thing to do was to hold the India visit and to get a new car. And that's what he did. So about $1,100 he spent in the car, and then he was just left with $900. And for $900 he couldn't go to India and stay there for 2 months. So then, he just prayed to Divine Mother that, and really Swamiji says, do your best and then just surrender to God. And that's what he did. He did his best to collect the money, and then he just prayed to Divine Mother that if you really want me to go, then make arrangements, for me to go. And this has happened on a Friday, and then the following Monday he gets this, letter. He opens it, and it is from a friend, from a devotee, who had not been in touch with him since a long time, since years. And then suddenly out of nowhere he gets a letter from that devotee, and in that there is a check of $1,000. And then first he thought maybe it is for the Sangha, I should be spending there. But it also had a note that it is for your personal use, so please use as Divine Mother wants you to use it. Now what is this? And he was like, whoa, this is grace. So, and he says this has happened again and again and again and again. The more we are in tune, the more we are flowing with God's grace. And also, as Keshava ji just mentioned about this devotee who had got burnt, and she was going in the car, and the car stopped, and so they were really putting gasoline, and the car was on. And it caught fire, and her whole face was burnt. And she was in the hospital. It was like a balloon. It had completely swollen up. And as Keshava ji said, and she was doing Kriya. She was really in tune with God. And there was no scar later left on the face. You can't even see that this person had got burnt ever. And more than that, what was miraculous, that later she said that I felt no pain. After burning so much, she said there was absolutely no pain. And the doctors didn't know how, what is this? They had no answer to that. So this is only by the grace of God. And Paramhansa Yogananda ji says that we should commune with God consciously. And that's what we do in Kriya Yoga, that's what we do in meditations. And he said that personal experience of God is really important. And that's what we are doing in Kriya. In Kriya, we are really burning the seeds of karma before they even germinate or manifest in our lives. And Swamiji also says that when we're doing Kriya and meditation and such practices, such techniques, in our spine, there is such a strong flow of energy that this energy then radiates, and it really forms a very strong aura around us. And it is so strong and vast that none of those kind of energies can really pierce through and harm us or touch us. We are really surrounded with grace and filled with grace. Paramhansa Yogananda also says that one of the ways to destroy karma, to destroy and rise above it, is getting out of the way. You know, he says when we are acting in this world as an ego, as Sachi, then you are really attracting karma. You are in the cycle of action-reaction. So Paramhansa Yogananda says that believe in your divine inheritance, that you are a child of God, made in the image of God. And so whatever we do, we really do thinking that it is God, doing through us. The more we do it with that consciousness that God is acting through us, we are not going to incur more and more karma. It is the divine acting through us. And he says the more we do this, the more we start tuning in to our true reality, and it helps us to realize what we truly are. And we can really completely free ourselves from karma. He says on this note that if we realize we are gods, we will be free from karma now. God, as the master of this universe, has no karma. If you know that you are one with God, there can be no karma for you. And this is really powerful because again and again he tells us that act as God, be God, do everything with the consciousness that it is not you doing it, but it is God doing through us. And that is a way we can destroy and rise above this karmic cycle. And one last thing that I would like to mention also, which Keshavaji also mentioned, that not acting or reacting as per our instincts, as per our emotions and compulsion of habit, but when we are acting in a way which is the right way to do, guided by wisdom, then we can free ourselves from karma. And because when we are acting through wisdom, we are really attuning ourselves to the divine will of God. The divine will of God is always to do what is right to do and helpful to do for your soul, not for your ego. And when we really keep this in mind and act, not because I want to do it, but what is helpful for me. And when we act through wisdom, we can really destroy karma, we can rise above it. And so I feel that when we already have so many ways, we are really blessed because we know how to get out of it. We know how to get out of pain and suffering permanently and be happy always. Om.